Hey everyone, Rachel Alford here from Cozy Nooks Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Beginner Smiley Face Coaster. This is an absolute beginner first crochet project, so if you ever wanted to try crochet, this is for you. We'll go step by step, detail by detail, so you can confidently make this coaster. You can make it in a wide variety of colors. I've been wanting to try the smiley face in different colors than just black. So if you do that, tell me in the comments. I'd love to see it. So anyway, let's grab our yarn and hook and let's get going. These are the materials I use for the Beginner Smiley Face Coaster. You only need one of these colors, but I wanted to show you the different colors I did use in case you were interested in doing the same colors. So this is all sugar and cream, Lily Sugar and Cream, and this is yellow, this is tea rose, yes, tea rose, this is hot pink, and this is ecru. Those are the color names, and I'll link everything down below. And then you need a little bit of black. So you need 15 yards to make the coaster, the square. And then you need 5 yards of black for the smiley face. And then you need a tapestry needle, an H 5.0 millimeter crochet hook, scissors. And then if you are not feeling confident on embroidering the smiley face onto the coaster, then you will need my little template, and then you can also get invisible disappearing ink. You can see I've had this for quite some time, so the brand name has rubbed off, but again, I'll just link everything below so that you can get this if you are interested in that. Okay, let's get started. To begin the coaster, we need to make a slip knot. To make a slip knot, you make a loop, and you can see my string that's connected to the ball of yarn goes this way, and that is on top. And then you take the loop and you fold it down onto the tail. You grab this piece that's in the middle of the loop, you grab that, and then you pull it up, and it creates your slip knot. So that is how you do the slip knot. And then you're going to insert your hook in the slip knot and tighten it up a little bit. Now you don't want it snug, 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 so tight that you can't even move your hook. You want a little bit of space in between the hook and the knot of the slip knot, like that. And then you're going to hold. For me, I'm right-handed, so I'm holding the hook in my right hand. I have the yarn in my left hand, and I am ready to go. So it says in the pattern that we need to chain 15. So to chain 15, I'm going to put my hook under, like this, under the yarn that's attached to the ball. I'm going to pull through that slip knot, like this. And that is one chain. And I need to make 15 of these. So again, I yarn over, pull through, and that's my second chain. Again, yarn over, pull through, that's 3. Yarn over, pull through, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is what it looks like. We have our beginning slip knot and then our 15 chains. To begin row 1, it says we need to single crochet 1 and second chain from hook. So you can see the loop that is on the hook here does not count as a stitch. So we have 1 chain, 2 chain. This is the second chain from the hook. So again, we don't include the loop that's on our hook, and then we count 1, 2. So I will be going into this second chain right there. So I insert my hook, and then I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm drawing up a loop. So I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is 1 single crochet completed. So you can see we've worked this stitch right here. The next stitch we're going to go into is right here. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to yarn over, drop a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we have 2 single crochets completed. And we're going to continue doing that all the way across, and we're going to end with 14 single crochets. So working into the next chain, which is right here, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the next chain, and then I am going to yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, I'm going to continue doing this all the way down until we have 2 chains left, because I want to show you what it looks like at the end of this row. Okay, you can see I have 1 and 2 chains left. This knot right here is your slip knot and does not count as a chain. So I'm going to insert my hook right here for the 13th single crochet and then into the last one, which will be my 14th single crochet. So here's my 13th and my 14th. So I am going to count these with you to make sure that we have 14 single crochets in this row. What I think is the easiest way to count is to rotate the piece towards you and then to count the V's that you see, the sideways V's. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Our 14th is kind of curved along the side because that's when we were doing our chains going into the second chain from our hook. So we did it correctly. We have 14 single crochets, so we can turn like that. And I'm going to insert my hook again. So we've turned, and now we're ready to do row 2. To do row 2, we need to chain 1 to begin. So to chain 1, we yarn over, pull through, and that's our chain 1. So the next stitch we go into is our first single crochet, which you can see is right here. And the next single crochet is right there. So let me set this down so you can see it a little bit better. You can see our chain 1 gives us the height, so you ignore the chain 1 and you go into this right here, which has 2 loops. There's the front loop and the back loop. And if you're having trouble seeing it, you can rotate the piece towards you, and it is the sideways V that we counted. So you just go under both legs of the V, and that is your first stitch you work into. Okay, so let's do row 2. Row 2, we're going to insert our hook, and then we're going to yarn over, drop a loop. So we have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's 1 single crochet. You can see we worked into this stitch, so the next stitch is right here. So I'm going to insert my hook right here. And you can let me rotate it so you can see the front and the back of the V. Here's the front of the V and the back of the V. So I'm doing both legs of the V, just a normal insert. And then I yarn over, drop a loop. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. The next stitch is right here. So again, I insert my hook, I yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So let's look at what we've done so far for row 2. You can see we have 1, 2, and 3 stitches. And then we have all of these remaining that we will work. So if you're having trouble counting the stitches, remember, rotate the work towards you and then count the sideways V's. So we have 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. That's how many stitches we've done. So we're going to do 14 all the way across for row 2. I'm just going to do that real quick, and then we will do the last 2 stitches together in the row. Okay, you can see I have my 2 stitches left in the row. This is my 13th stitch and this is my 14th stitch that I haven't made yet. So this is what it looks like at the end of the row. You can see that this one's curved down a little bit, so try not to miss that one. So let's do the 13th together. We're inserting our hook, yarning over, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then into this last stitch, you do the same thing, yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so let's count the stitches to make sure that we have done 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Perfect. So the rest of the pattern is the same as row 2. So you turn your work, chain 1, and then go into this first stitch right here. And that's the beginning of row 3. So it's just the same thing, 14 stitches for each row. Once you get to row 16, I will show you how to do the end of row 16. Okay, you can see I have 2 more stitches in my 16 rows, but let's talk about how to count rows. So you can see right here, the confusing part of counting rows is not counting the chain row. So do you see how it has an indent right here? You can see how it's more defined right here, here, here. So this indent right here, there are 2 rows, 1, 2. And then the next indent is right here. There are 2 rows in between as well. So a row, if you look at this 3rd row here, you can see it has 2 legs. That's a single crochet right here. And then the next row has 2 legs in a V shape. And that is a row. So if you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is my last row here, and I just have 2 stitches left. So when I count rows, I usually count the indents and I just go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. But if you need to count individual rows, that's fine as well. Okay, so let's do our last 2 single crochets for this row here. And here's my last one. And now I'm going to pull my hook out like this and leave myself about a 2.5 inch tail. And I'm going to cut it. And so now I have my ending tail and my beginning tail. And now we're going to weave in these ends. So taking your tapestry needle, you're going to thread it through and then go to the wrong side. And then you're just going to go over and under. There's not really a right way to do weaving in ends for crochet. It's very forgiving for crochet to weave in ends. So I just make sure whatever I do, I always go back the same way that I did initially, and that really helps lock in the stitches. So I'm just going in between. You can see, you can't see the needle on the right side. I'm going in between the stitches for about 3 stitches, and then I'm going back through those same stitches, and you can't see it on the right side, and then pulling through. And that is giving me a good solid tail that I can cut off. And then I'm going to do my ending the same way by taking the tail, threading it through, going to the wrong side, and weaving it in for about 3 or 4 stitches. And then I go back, and then going back through. And when you do it, you have to make sure that you don't pull it too tight, or it's going to make your fabric curl, and you don't want that. So you just want it to be relaxed, normal tension. And so there is my coaster. And now I'm going to, you can see mine's curling a little bit right here. See how it's curling up like that? So I'm going to use my steamer and make sure that this is really relaxed, and then we will be able to stitch the smiley face onto the coaster. And I want to show you, so I mentioned before, if you're not too confident, you can just freehand stitch the black on here, but if you're feeling a little nervous doing it freehand, I do have this template that you can use. You can pin it and then just kind of go like this and mark it all the way around using your disappearing ink. This, as I mentioned, I've had this for years, and so it's rubbing off the brand name. And so when I did it on this one, you can kind of see it on the camera, but it doesn't show up very well because mine is so old. But when you get a new one, you'll be able to see it better. Okay, so after you block the coaster, you will be able to stitch this on, and this is what it's going to look like. I will include a picture with the listing so that you can just freehand stitch this on if you want to. If that makes you nervous, then you can use the template. So I'm going to show you how to do it with the template. So you print out the template and you cut it out and you center it, and then you're just going to take your disappearing ink and you're just going to make some marks on here to try to help you guide you. There's not a perfect way to do it, but this is how I found the easiest. I mark up here, I mark down here, and I mark down here, and then I just kind of connect the dots like that. I'm going to rotate it now. Like that. And then for the eyes, there we go. Okay, so I know that probably doesn't show up well on the camera, so I apologize for that. Let me make it a little darker and see if you can see it. If you buy one of these, it will have more ink in the pen. I just have one that is 7 years old. So there's not tons of ink left in it. Okay, but you can kind of see the faint outline. Okay, so after you've done that, then you cut a strand of black cotton yarn. I did about 1.5 feet. And then you thread it with your tapestry needle. And then you're going to start, I started in the top right eye, but it doesn't really matter where you start. Okay, and then a tip with using embroidery for crochet, the temptation is to insert your needle in between stitches and rows because there are holes there. So it feels like you should put your needle there, but try not to do that whenever you can. You can see here, let me get this to focus. There we go. I did it in the middle of a stitch. The reason why I like to do it in the middle of a stitch like that is because it holds it more taut and makes it less loosey-goosey. Because if you do it in the middle of a row or a stitch, then there's lots of wiggle room for the yarn to move around, and I don't want that. I want it to stay exactly where I put it in my fabric. So that's why I like to do in between stitches. Another tip with embroidery is that you're going to want to do small stitches. You're not going to want to do a huge long pass because then it will look very blocky, and we don't want that. Okay, so going up to the right side of the fabric, you're going to want to do that so that you leave the tail on the back side of the work, and then you're going to go back down. And again, you can see I'm going in the middle of a stitch there. So I've gone about a row because I've done the middle of a row and then the middle of the next row. And that's what I try to keep it at, about a row or so, a stitch or so when I sew these. Okay, so then going back up to the right side, I'm doing it again. And make sure when you're pulling this, you're not pulling it too hard, otherwise you're going to make the fabric cinch, and you don't want that. Okay, so going back down through the middle of that stitch that I previously worked. There we go. And then again, in the middle of a stitch. And then back up to the wrong side. And you can see I kind of have one more marking. I think I'm going to leave it like that though, because if I go to the end of my marking, this is the middle of a row and a stitch, and I don't want to keep it like that. So I'm just going to stop right there. And so on the wrong side of this piece, let me show you. I did not cut in between the eyes or the eye to the smiley face. And if that bugs you and you want your coasters to look nice on the wrong side too, you can cut off, tie a knot, and then pick it up for the next eye. I'm not going to do that for this though, because I don't mind it. I think it will be okay. And you can't see it on the right side. So just be careful that you don't pull it too snug between the eyes. Otherwise you'll have some fabric pulling problems. Okay, going back up. And then again in the middle of a stitch right there. And I always like to make sure I flip it to the wrong side and make sure that I'm not having any knots or there's a big loop of yarn that didn't get pulled through all the way. I just like to make sure that it is working out correctly on the wrong side too. Okay, and this will be my last stitch for the eye. Back down through. Okay, so here are the eyes for this one. And now I'm just going to hop over to the start of the smile. The lines, the eyes are a good place to start on because doing a line is easier than doing a curve. Doing the curve can be a little intimidating and hard, but just remember to do small stitches and not to do long, big passes, and you'll have an easier time with it. See, like this stitch that I'm doing right here is not quite a full row. It's like half of a row. So just little small stitches. Because we want this to look like a curve and not a block smile. All right, continuing on down. I'm still doing it in the middle of stitches rather than doing it at the end of a stitch or end of a row. Okay, so you can see, let's pause right here and look at this. I'm going to go up right here. If I had continued going in the pattern of half of a stitch, I would have been in this big hole right here, and I don't want to be there. So I'm going to make this one a little bit longer. So again, there is no, like, it's just kind of figuring it out and doing some experimenting and making sure that it looks all right. Don't be intimidated by this, because it's a learning experience, but you won't mess it up to the point that you can't fix it. You can always unstitch it if you need to. Okay, so when I drew on the bottom of the mouth, I made sure I drew it on in the middle of a row because I didn't want to be at the bottom of a stitch right like this. Do you see how I did not want that. So I'm going in between the stitch here to lock in the embroidery. Okay, so I have one more stitch to my smiley face, and when you do your last stitch, just make sure that you're on the same row. And I split the stitch here, and so I'm making sure I split the stitch here so that it ends at the same point. There we go. So there is my embroidered smiley face. To finish it off, you need to knot it. Knot the beginning and the ending tail like that. I'm going to double knot it. Here we go. And then just weave in these ends the best that you can. Like that. And I'm going to cut this. And doing it on the beginning tail as well. So there you have it. That is how you do the Beginner Smiley Face Coaster. Oh, one more thing I forgot to say. With this purple ink, you can wait. I think the package says wait 48 hours and it will disappear, but if you want it to go away faster, just take some water and wet it and it will disappear. So there you have your Beginner Smiley Face Coaster. Thanks for joining me today in making the Beginner Smiley Face Coasters. Aren't they just so cute? I can't wait to use them this summertime. I'm planning on sitting poolside with my cute coasters, drinking my lemonade. So anyway, if you liked this pattern and you want to see more patterns that I do and more videos, make sure you subscribe so that you can stay in tune to all the different plans and videos that I have in store for you. Again, my name is Rachel Alford from Cozy Nooks Designs, and thanks for joining me today. Bye! Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you liked it. I am Rachel from Cozy Nooks Designs, and make sure that you give it a thumbs up, Comment if you have any questions and subscribe to my channel for future free patterns and tips.